Everyone has that dream of quitting their job and living entirely off passive income, but most people think it requires some secret magic number they can't possibly figure out. You've probably heard it. Just save up $500,000. Yeah, that's not even close. The truth is, most people are doing the math all wrong. They're using flimsy calculations that just don't hold up in the real world. But in the next few minutes, we're going to break down the simple division formula anyone can use to figure out the exact amount of money they need to invest to make that dream a reality. And fair warning, it's probably a lot more than you think. Stick around. Let's be honest, the dream is pretty appealing. Waking up on a Tuesday and seeing that you got paid hundreds or even thousands of dollars just for owning a piece of great companies. No commute, no boss, just financial freedom, funded by businesses you believe in. That's the core of dividend investing. It's a beautiful picture, but this is where people get caught in the first, most dangerous trap, the myth of the simple number. Someone sees that a stock pays a 5% dividend. They think, okay, I want to make $50,000 a year. Easy, I just need $1 million. They multiply their goal by 20 and call it a day. Or worse, they find some risky, obscure stock promising a 10% yield and figure they only need $500,000. That kind of thinking is a recipe for disaster. It's like planning a cross-country road trip by only looking at the start and end cities on a map, completely ignoring the cost of gas, food, detours, or the very real chance of a flat tire. This napkin math ignores two giant financial dragons that can absolutely torch your retirement dream: inflation and taxes. It also doesn't question whether that juicy 10% dividend is actually safe, or if it's a huge red flag. Companies can, and definitely do, cut their dividends, especially when a yield looks too good to be true. So, if that simple multiplication is wrong, how do you find the right number? This is where you take back control. Forget the vague, misleading magic numbers you hear online. The real secret isn't some complicated Wall Street secret, it's just a simple, powerful formula that tailors the goal for you. Here it is. This is what you need. Your required investment, your desired annual income, your portfolio's dividend yield. That's it. That's the formula. Let's break it down so it's crystal clear. First, your desired annual income. This is how much cash you need your dividend portfolio to spit out every year to cover your life. Don't guess. Track your spending for a few months. How much for housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and a little left over for fun. Be brutally honest with yourself. If you need $60,000 a year to live well, that's your number. This is the foundation of the whole plan. Second, your portfolio's dividend yield. This is the percentage you expect to get back in dividends each year from your total investment. It's calculated by taking the total annual dividends you receive and dividing it by the total value of your portfolio. So, if you have a $100,000 portfolio that pays you $4,000 a year, your yield is 4%. The key here is to be conservative and realistic. While you can find stocks with wild high yields, those often come with huge risks. For most people building a portfolio, a sustainable and healthy yield from a diversified set of quality companies is typically in the 3% to 4% range. For comparison, the S&P 500's dividend yield in recent decades has often been under 2%, though its longer-run historical average is higher. So, picking a target like 3.5% is a great realistic starting point for our math. Just know that this can shift depending on the overall market and interest rates. This is where the dream starts turning into an actual plan. Let's run through some common goals using our formula and that realistic 3.5% dividend yield. Goal number 1, the side hustle income, $20,000 a year. Maybe you don't want to quit your job just yet, but you want an extra $20K a year to cover the mortgage or travel more. Using the formula, $20,000 desired income, 0.035, 3.5% yield, 0.571,428. So, to generate $20,000 in annual passive income from a portfolio with a 3.5% yield, you need about $572,000 invested. Goal number 2, the standard retirement, $60,000 a year. This is a pretty common goal for replacing a median household income. Let's do the math. $60,000, desired income, 0.035, 3.5% yield. Water 17714, 285. To live off $60,000 a year in dividends, you'd need a portfolio of over $1.7 million. See how this is already a very different number than the myths you hear online. Goal number 3, the high earner replacement, $100,000 a year. for those who want to replace a higher salary and live a more comfortable retirement. Here's the calculation. $100,000, desired income, 0.035, 3.5% yield, solve 2,157,142 odds. You're looking at needing close to $3 million invested to safely generate a six-figure income from dividends. These numbers might seem huge, they might even feel a bit discouraging at first, but they're not meant to scare you, they're meant to empower you with reality. This is the real math. Now, you have a target. Now, you can build an actual plan to get there, instead of chasing a number you just made up. Right now, you're probably looking at that formula and thinking, well, what if I just find a higher yield? Then I won't need as much money. And you're absolutely right. The yield is the most powerful lever you can pull. Let's rerun our $60,000 income goal with a few different yields to see the difference. At a 2% yield, closer to the recent S&P 500 average, you'd need $3,000. At our 3.5% realistic yield, you need $1,714 and $285. At a more aggressive 5% yield, you would need $1,200,000. And at a very risky-looking 8% yield, you would only need $750,000. The temptation to chase that 8% yield is massive. It cuts the amount you need to save by more than half. But this is where nearly every beginner makes a critical mistake. This is your warning. A very high dividend yield can be a trap. There are usually two reasons a stock's yield gets abnormally high. Either the company is rapidly increasing its dividend, or the stock price has been tanking. More often than not, it's the stock price falling. The market is pricing in risk. The risk that the business is struggling and that the dividend you're chasing is about to get cut. Building your life savings on a pile of these yield traps can destroy your portfolio. While some business structures like REITs or BDCs naturally have higher payouts, they still need careful research. Focusing on quality and sustainability is way more important than chasing the highest number. A healthy, growing 3.5% dividend is infinitely better than a shaky 8% dividend that gets slashed to zero. If you're finding this breakdown helpful and you want more no-nonsense guides to building real wealth, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. My whole goal is to give you clear, actionable steps, and subscribing helps this channel reach and empower more people just like you. Our formula gives you a fantastic personalized target, but to make sure you can live off this money forever, there are two other massive factors you have to build into your plan: inflation and taxes. First, inflation. The $60,000 that covers your expenses today won't have the same buying power in 10 or 20 years. Inflation is the silent killer of retirement plans. If your dividend income stays flat at $60,000 but the cost of living doubles, you've effectively taken a 50% pay cut. This is why your strategy isn't just about the starting yield. To truly live off this forever, your plan must include companies that have a long history of growing their dividends every single year. These are often called dividend aristocrats, or dividend kings. Their commitment to increasing their payout helps your passive income stream keep pace with, and hopefully beat, inflation over the long haul. Second, taxes. Your dividends are income, and Uncle Sam wants his cut. Depending on whether your dividends are qualified or non-qualified and your overall income, your tax rate can vary a lot. The good news is that for many people, qualified dividends are taxed at a lower rate than their salary, sometimes even 0%, but you won't get to spend 100% of the dividends that hit your account. This means you either need to account for taxes in your desired annual income number, meaning aim for a higher pre-tax income, or you should prioritize holding your dividend investments in tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA, where qualified withdrawals are tax-free. Just be aware that tax rules can be complex and vary depending on where you live. Okay, we've done the math, we've seen the big numbers, and we've talked about the risks. So how does a normal person actually start this journey today? The answer is simple. You don't start by trying to find the perfect stock. You start with diversification. For most beginners, the single best way to get going is with a low-cost, dividend-focused exchange-traded fund, or ETF. Think of an ETF as a basket that holds dozens, or even hundreds, of different dividend-paying stocks for you. With one purchase, you're instantly diversified. A very popular choice for this is an ETF like the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, ticker symbol SCHD. It focuses on high-quality US companies with sustainable dividends. Its yield has historically hovered in that 3 to 4% range we've discussed, but you should always check the current yield before investing. The second key is to turn on DRIP, which stands for Dividend Reinvestment Plan. This automatically takes the dividends you get and uses them to buy more shares of the fund. It is the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it tool for compounding your wealth. That small stream of dividend income starts buying more assets, which in turn generate even more dividend income. It is one of the most powerful forces in all of investing. And finally, be consistent. Set up an automatic transfer from every paycheck to buy more shares. It doesn't matter if it's $50 or $500. The habit of consistent investing, practiced over years and decades, is what builds million-dollar portfolios. So, what is the magic number to live off dividends forever? The truth is, there isn't one single magic number. There is only your number. And now, you have the formula to find it. You know that to find your target, you just have to divide your desired annual income by a realistic dividend yield. You're no longer in the dark, guessing at some mythical figure. You have a clear mathematical target to aim for. Yes, the numbers are big, but they aren't impossible. They're the result of years of consistent saving, smart investing, and letting your money work for you. Every single person who has achieved financial freedom through dividends started at zero. They started with their first dollar, their first share, and a clear plan. Your first step is to calculate your number, figure out what you need, then open a brokerage account, buy a share of a solid dividend ETF, and turn on dividend reinvestment. That's it. You've started the journey. Thanks so much for watching. If this video helped clear up the path to financial independence for you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, keep investing in your future.